Hello, my lovely disciples of the night. It is I, your lovely, gorgeous, and beautiful Night Queen. And in this video today, we're going to talk about some questionable purchases. But before we get to that, first I would like to apologize for the very long delay in the fact that there were no videos for, a while, few days, some long time where it should not have been. My mom actually came to visit me again, and we were just kind of, doing stuff. We were hanging out, and, we were just spending some time, and, she was helping me out with a few things involving, my future, and most especially with, my employment a little bit here and there. And, so yeah, that was kind of what was going on. But that is not what we're here to talk about. This is just to inform you what's been going on and that I am here now and there are going to be no disturbances from as far as I could tell for this point onward, but we'll see. There might be a few things coming along, but that aside, let's talk about what I have in store. And just look at this. You see this? Do you see this beautiful glory? It is basically the start of my interest in the Warhammer hobby, and now that I'm seeing it, there is quite a bit of a reflection issue. It is the Warhammer 40k Combat Patrol, and it is the Adepta Sororitas, aka the Battle Sisters. So, before I talk more about the Battle Sisters that I'm going to be starting off with, let's explain a few things about Warhammer 40k, because I get the feeling that some people, even though you may have seen my Warhammer Fantasy content, might not know about Warhammer 40k. So Warhammer 40k, basically, there is a lot of lore that goes into it, so I'm gonna have to try to figure out how to sort of shorten it in a way that isn't too insulting, but it kind of has to be insulting so that we could get to some of the good stuff. Basically, in Warhammer 40k, as the name implies, there's only war. You may be thinking that, oh hey, humanity is united and now they're traveling in space. This could only mean good things, except not really at all, no. Anyway, so humanity is technically united, but under the Imperium of Man, which basically is very depressing, very terrifying autocracy where what would it look like if the fascists won somewhat well, yeah, they are pretty fascistic. To the point where, it has now basically become a state religion to worship the governing leader, the emperor, as a god. And this technically wasn't what he wanted, but he can't really say anything about that except to a few trusted people, and even they will just interpret what he's saying for their own political gains, as politicians normally do. So basically, it's just kind of, yeah, it's not pleasant. And along with corrupt political affairs within the Imperium of Man, there's also the horrors that the Imperium of Man has to deal with in the form of their enemies. You've got the Necrons, which are basically Terminator Egyptian pharaohs. You've got the Eldar, both the Dark and the Craftworld Eldar, who both kind of have a reason for not liking humanity. The Craftworld Eldar wanting to recapture all of their lost glory after their era of paradise and full-on peace because everything was so perfect, but then Slaanesh came around after they indulged themselves a bit too much on that perfect age. And now the Eldar kind of want to rebuild and reconquer all of that glory that now the Imperium of Man is trying to hog all for themselves. And then there's the Dark Eldar, also known as the Drukhari, I don't know what their name is, but anyway, they're around, and they're around to murder, kill, and torture, and make everybody into slaves, so not necessarily for services, but just to torture, because their souls are going to get sucked up by Slaanesh if they don't. And then there's also the Tyranids, who are basically a hive mind swarm that have entered from outside of the known galaxy, and came in from who knows where, and now they're just wanting to consume everything because that's their whole thing. Tyranids are just kind of a mess, really. And then there are also the Orcs, obviously. Don't ask how they got there. They're there, and they're just just don't look into it too much. They just have the power of belief on their side, and that's how they do things. So just don't question it. It works, so just don't look into it too much. And then finally, wait, did I actually miss something? I feel like I may have... Oh, right, yes. So humanity isn't technically quite united. I mean, they technically are, air quotations, but then there's also another group of humans that may have gone on, shall we say, the dark side, to put it in simple terms, the Chaos Powers, the Chaos Space Marines and such, worshipping very devious and dark gods such as the previously mentioned Slaanesh, the hideous and atrociously disgusting-looking apparent god of ecstasy, lust, and pleasure, but I don't really see how anybody could possibly find something as horrid and ugly as that to be attractive. I'm just saying that. I would post a picture, but I'm kind of feeling a bit too lazy about the editing right now, so you're just gonna have to take my word for it. All you have to do is just kind of look it up, and you'll get what I mean. You'll get what I mean. Then there is also Nurgle, the oldest of the Chaos Gods, who has existed as long as life has, because where life exists, so too must decay and death and disease. And Papa Nurgle, he may seem like the nicest and the kindest of the Chaos Gods, but that's kind of because he prefers everything to end up being gross and his in the end. Which, I mean, he is nice. It's just, eventually everything has to decay and be gross, but he'll still love you no matter what. And it's just kind of a weird, crazy kind of love, but it is technically a love because you get congratulated for your efforts and such, and it's confusing. It kind of makes sense, but it's also pretty messed up. Then we also have Tzeentch, also one of the oldest and arguably one of the most powerful Chaos Gods, but he is very much into the whole deception, magic, and stuff. He likes to make up these grand schemes and plans, but apparently he did it so much that he ended up kicking himself out of the most powerful position of the heavens or something like that, and then became all of the magic forms of magic that exists, but I think that's the fantasy version. I don't know what the 40k version of it is, so I can't really say. It's probably something similar to that, but I don't know. And then finally, there's the one that's very commonly known, Khorne. The blood for the blood god, the skulls for the skull throne. The guy that just wants to murder, destroy, and pillage absolutely everything in an endless conquest of battle forever and all eternity, and there is nothing but battle for Khorne. So, for some, he is definitely going to probably seem like the most fun, but I mean, fighting is going to be the only thing you do forever, so you are probably going to have to be able to get used to that whole thing if you worship Khorne. Also, maybe a few mutations that might go down the wrong way, just letting you know. But anyway, so, with the Imperium of Man, we have the famous soldiers of the Space Marines, the genetically modified angels of death and whatever, because... And they basically are seen as the most powerful soldiers of the Imperium on the front line. And then, of course, there is the Imperial Guard, which have the unfortunate duty of being the front line in everything, relying on numbers to beat their battles, and, well, they have to get equipped with the absolute worst weapons to exist that barely do anything. Why? I have no idea, honestly. I don't get it. I don't get it. A lot of things don't make sense, and I think the Imperial Guard has to be one of those things with their weaponry that just doesn't make any sense, if I'm being honest. There is the Adeptus, I forget their Latin name, but basically they're the bodyguards of the Emperor, and they get to be and they're arguably the most powerful soldiers in the Imperium, specifically because they are the most well-trained and the most genetically modified to be the strongest to protect the Emperor himself. There are the Imperial Knights, which are basically just these lords that ride around in giant mechs, and it's pretty damn strong, honestly, not gonna lie, but From what I've heard, you can't really make an army out of them because there's only so much you can actually do with them. So it's not really recommended to make an army specifically out of Imperial Knights, but they are pretty strong, at least when they are allied with other Imperial factions. And that's basically kind of a thing when it comes to the Warhammer 40k hobby, is that you can make alliances with different groups, but I think there's also a rule where they try to make sure that you are part of a specific faction so that you can get the bonuses, and there's a debuff where you don't get the bonuses of the factions that you play, because as it turns out, people actually combined the different faction buffs that they get, and that ended up being too crazy for people who are just trying to be about specifically one faction, and it just kind of ruined that bit. So now the rules have been kind of updated so that each faction gets to have their buffs, but only if you have that one particular faction in your army. And then I'm wondering if I forgot an Imperial faction by accident. Oh, wait, right. There are a couple of other outlined ones, like the Adeptus Mechanicus army, which is basically all of these people that worship machines and science and stuff. So they get to have some of those. Oh, there are the Grey Wolves as well, which is basically the Viking aesthetic of the Space Marines. So they're pretty awesome as well. And yeah, they're pretty damn cool. There are the Inquisitors, the Death Angels. The Inquisitors known for their Exterminatus whole spiel, but they aren't really an army as I can recall. I think they're individual units. The Dark Angels, or the Black Templars, that's what they were. The Black Templars are basically just the edgier version, I think, of the Space Marines, and then there's the Chaos Marines, which are, like, even worse. And, that's enough out of those guys, but here we have... wrong side. The Adeptus Sororitas, also known as the Battle Sisters, also known as Nuns with Guns. So normally, when it comes to Warhammer 40k, from what I have been recommended when I was getting interested in this hobby, is that you always want to start with a combat patrol, and I kind of had to wait a little bit before a Adeptus Sororitas combat patrol was available, and now I finally have it. It actually was the only one at the game store, so... the moment I saw it, I just kind of had to get it. There was no way I could get around it, but hey, at least I got a $9 off coupon. That makes it worth it, right? Okay, anyway. So, in the Combat Patrol, it actually holds 26 different figurines for your starting army. And let me just go ahead and read the back a little bit. So, to start off, you have over in this top left section, right over here. I'll make sure to zoom the camera in so that you could see it properly. This is the Battle Sister Squad. This is basically the normal ground troops of the group, and they are basically going to be the bulk of the army for the Combat Patrol. You're going to have a squad like this in every Combat Patrol for each faction that you pick, so you're going to have a bunch of them to run around and to do stuff. And and by the way, I don't know anything about what each of these Battle Sisters models do, so it's gonna be a bit of a learning experience. I'm hoping there's instructions in these on how to use them, but we'll see. Anyway, so for the next one, I'm not gonna lie, this one kinda... Are we sure these are, this isn't supposed to be in any relation to Slaanesh at all, or any of their crazy antics? Is it something you want to tell us, Battle Sisters? Because this seems a little bit heretical. Anyway, so this is the Repentia Superior and the Sisters Repentia. So this is just a group of basically a bunch of sisters who want to repent because the Battle Sisters are known for being the most zealous of the Imperium of Man and in their dedication to the God Emperor, more than anybody, really. You think the Inquisitors are dedicated? You think the Adeptus... I still can't remember what they're... Adeptus Custodes... I think that was correct. You think they're the most dedicated? Nah, man. You could pick whichever one you want. It's the Battle Sisters that are the most dedicated to the Emperor, so much that they are willing to use literally every single bullet as a prayer to the God Emperor. Every single bullet, they will count with each prayer that they make to him. And that is how dedicated they are to him. And they have a lot of this gothic aesthetic and angelic aesthetic to go with all that they are about. And they're just so amazing. Amazing. Anyway, so let's go on with even more of the models. So this one right here, this is the Canoness, which is like, I believe, some sort of commander for the Battle Sisters. So she's going to be the most important one in some way or another. And then over here, we've got the Arco-Flagellants, which basically, as the name applies, they're the flagellants of the group. I'm trying to make sure you can actually see it without the reflection, but clearly it is not working. Hopefully this will be one where I can edit to make sure this will be seen properly. But these are the flagellants, so they're basically, I'm thinking, going to be the frontline ones who are going to be soaking up as much damage as they can because they're all about getting that pain. Or at least that's what I'm getting from the name, because flagellants. And then over here, we've got the literal angels of the Battle Sisters. We have the Seraphim, the Seraphim squad. They're basically going to be the sisters with jetpacks. They can fly, they can shoot, and be all around badass because it's the Battle Sisters, bitches. And then we've got this crazy thing right here known as the Penitent Engine, which looks like it's powered by a servitor. And yeah, wouldn't you love to know what a servitor in the Imperium of Man is? By which I mean you are going to hate the fact that you know them once you do, and I'm not going to mention it out of fear that maybe somebody who isn't versed in Warhammer 40k would be scarred by such a thing. And then we've got the big one here. We've got the big tank known as the Sororitas Rhino, and it's a tank. Is there anything more I need to say? It's a tank. And it's pretty damn awesome. But there is definitely more. And when I get them, you will know. You will know. And it will be amazing. And but that's all I have to say about what I have for the Battle Sisters, Sororitas, and the models that I have. But let's go ahead and open it now and see what we got in here. Okay, so upon opening the box, there is quite a lot of things to kind of go over, and the first thing that you will see is basically this, and this is the instruction manual on how you're going to build each of these models, and yeah, I do mean build, because, well, I think it probably takes just one of these to show you, but, yeah, this is basically a hobby where you're going to have to put a lot of effort and work into just making the models. So, oh yeah, that'll be a ride. So yeah, it's going to take a bit of time and effort to actually get these done, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely fun looking, but obviously there are definitely some other supplies that don't come with the combat patrol you're going to need. Like, for example, you're definitely going to need glue for putting these together, and you kind of need some brushes and some paints, and yeah, the combat patrol isn't going to come with them, just kind of the building blocks for and the instructions on how to make them. So yeah, those are some other things you're going to have to keep in mind as well, and unfortunately, because I do not have the glue or the brushes or the paint, I'm not going to be able to do that right now, so that's a little bit sad for me, but eventually I will get to that point, and honestly, I'm just kind of happy to have this to start things. And there is one other thing where you get this kind of little, wait, hold on, I wasn't even holding it correctly. You kind of get this little sticker pad where you get all of these different symbols. Let me just put it up to the camera. You get all of these symbols to be able to kind of add to your models, and specifically for the Adeptus Sororitas Battle Sisters, you have these different symbols that relate to the different orders of the Battle Sisters. So here we have the symbols for our Martyred Lady, which is an order about how a particular member of the Battle Sisters, in the lore, she was tricked by some other Imperial leader who wanted to rebel against the Emperor, and he tried to trick a group of warrior women who would be known as the Battle Sisters, who at the time called themselves the Daughters of the Emperor. And that guy tricked them into basically fighting against the Emperor while also having them believe that they are fighting for the Emperor. Eventually, this woman realized what was going on and was very upset about that and decided to take out her very horrifying vengeance upon that traitor in the name of the Emperor, finally. And but because she was tricked, and so did a number of other Battle Sisters were tricked by this rebellious leader, they decided to punish themselves and basically see their desire for battle, or they would hunt for battle, so that they would go ahead and avenge this sin that they have committed and repent for the sin of going against the Emperor, even though it was unintentional. There's this one. The second one is known as the... no, wait, I think they are the same thing, actually, just kind of a different color scheme. This third one down here, however, is the known as the Order of the Chalice, which I don't remember much of the lore of that one, but I think there was something about some sacred chalice or something like that, but I don't remember. But I also forgot one more thing about the Armored Lady Order. This one is basically known for having their Battle Sisters have white hair because of how the moment the Emperor gave his blessings upon the Martyred Lady, her hair immediately turned white, and obviously there are some fan fiction ideas that people like to make, but do with it what you will, I guess. Then there's also this fourth one down here, the Order of the Bloody Rose, which basically is the one that really enjoys fighting and loves to basically see themselves as the best killers in the Imperium of Man. And it's kind of debatable on some of the stories. Like sometimes they say that the lady of this order beat up an Adeptus Custodius and a bunch of other people in single combat, but nobody is able to verify that. But basically, this order is all about attack, 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 and more attack, and more of it. So basically, just more and more fighting. Which, yeah, that's basically what they're about. And then we got the Order of the Sacred Rose. This group, you would probably think, oh, they sound so much nicer. They seem so much more pleasant. How could you possibly not like them or think anything bad of them? I mean, they're out here singing wonderful, angelic harmonic hymns in the field of battle to calm the soldiers, but as it turns out, they're basically just singing so that they could sing over the shouts and cries of their enemies, which is obviously pretty fucked up. So keep that in mind for the Order of the Sacred Rose. And then there's the Order of the Argent Shroud, which is basically the most mysterious of the group. Or of the orders. They are very secretive, very mysterious, and I think that's pretty much all I know about them. But they like to harbor the knowledge for some reason. I don't know why, but they're basically very mysterious is my point out of the Battle Sisters. And then finally, there is the Order of the Valorous Heart, which is basically the order where they want to do whatever they can, where they will even face death over being captured or something like that. They will face death in the most glorious and most valorous ways in the name of the Emperor. And there are actually plenty of other orders that aren't listed in this particular sticker pack, like the Hospitallers, but they're basically the medics, so they probably wouldn't necessarily be there as an army in and of itself, because, again, they're an order of medics, so that would maybe they would be added as an individual, but I don't know. Then we got some of these bigger stickers up here, which is meant for the commanders, I believe. So yeah, and a few other stickers down here that are basically just kind of other additional decorations, but it's pretty cool, honestly, and I like it. I like it a lot. But anyways, that's me showing off a little bit of the Adeptus Sororitas, also known as the Battle Sisters. And I definitely know it's going to be a lot of work. And honestly, I feel like I may need a little bit of help with this, but we'll see, honestly. But anyway, if I do ever get these models completed, which I'm hoping I will try to make sure that it is possible that I do finish these models, because I'm just happy to have them, and I want to actually put these models to good use. So wish me luck on that, and until next time, I will make sure that I get the chance to show them off, because this is just really cool. And yeah, so that's the video, and I hope you enjoyed, and that you have a wonderful evening. If you enjoyed what you saw so far and all the explanation I got from my excitement, feel free to leave a like, and if you want to see more content like this and plenty of others, then feel free to subscribe, because I enjoy the support. And until next time, rest well this fine moonlit night.